Growing up, I was raised by an alcoholic mother and a father, right? My dad was around until I was about 7 or 8 or so. And I remember praying for my dad to come back, right? But as I'm getting to be 13, 14, 15, Dad's not coming back, prayer's not working. I got family fighting about what I should and shouldn't believe in. Then I discovered drugs and alcohol. You know, I was 12 when I got into my the first time I had been arrested. I had police show up to my mom's house, and I was in 7th grade, and they arrested me for possession of a firearm on school property. I didn't learn from it, man, because the people I was trying to impress, it impressed. I ended up meeting up with a friend of mine at that point who was selling weed. And then I realized that if I had a bag and I was always the one selling weed, I didn't need to go hang out with nobody else. They come hang out with me. I tried to pull it together from, I think, 18 to like 25 or 6. I was just partying, try to stop, drinking, try to stop, you know, and I tried to pull it together until I ran into a friend of mine. This was 2016. I ran into an old friend of mine who I used to sell weed with, and at this point was selling dope. And I seen the money he was making, so I was like, I want to see what that's about. And that was the point where I started to just basically walk out on my family. Watching him move all night, starting to get into the trafficking, watching him, you know, run around with the guns, it brought back that old 15-year-old kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, I stopped thinking about my kids' mom and my babies at that point, and started thinking, that's what I really want to do. Right? I let that ego come back in me and say, you know what, that's what you really need to do. You need to get a car, you need to get a pistol, and you need to get a fat sack of dope. You need to go show them you still got it. You know, the guns, the dope. It was enough to lock somebody away for a good minute. And when I got hooked up with these guys and I started running with them, I realized just how much of it I didn't want until I wanted out. But these aren't the kind of guys you can just walk away from. I remember calling him and I said, hey, check this out on me, I'm done. And he says, no, you don't get to make that call. I've had a house get burnt to the ground. They thought, you know, and there was accelerant, there was gasoline poured all over the front porch, and they burnt my house to the ground. At the end of my second run was probably the lowest that I had ever felt, because I ignored God to get there. That was the lowest point. When I lost my apartment, I lost my kids for the second time. I was sitting in this dope house. I was moving some things around and I seen 2 Bibles that I had. And it just seemed in that moment, man, that there was a lot of reservations that I had that just broke. I didn't find Christ. He found me, revealed to me some truth. I go to prison, I spend my time in prison, in my word, in chapel. Right? Staying in the Bible, trying to get an idea of who God is. Because I'd made fun of him for all these years because I didn't know what to believe. I didn't care if he was real. Well, after there was some truth that was brought and I knew God was there, I started seeking him. I remember praying, I was like, man, I need to find a church. I was walking to this little Mexican joint right around the corner from the neighborhood I lived in. And as I'm walking by, man, I see Battle Creek, Owasso right across the street. And I remember looking at the building and I just kept wanting to go in, and I was like, I gotta go to work, man. So as I'm walking to work, I'm looking at the building, and right there as I'm walking, I said, God, if for some reason I don't have to work this shift, I'll go to church, and I'll go to that church. So then I walk up to my job, and I walk in there, and my manager comes up, and he says, hey, we just hired another busser. He says, so we don't need you to work today. He said, actually, we don't need you to work Sundays again. You know, you can just work your shift through the week, so you have Sundays off. With God, all things are possible. That's the only reason that I'm still here is because he is gracious and he allows me to walk this thing out, right? And I don't do it perfect, nowhere near. You know, the Frank 400 days ago was just trying to not get high. Right? Trying to not revert back to that self-ego feeding, I gotta do what makes me feel good about me, and actually finding a place of submission and giving it over to God and say, you tell me who I am. I don't have this thing figured out, you know, but I've ran into enough walls and found that Jesus Christ is the only solution that brings me peace. You know, in a mind that's filled with a lot of chaos, a life that has a whole lot of narcotics in it, you know, like I've watched God restore lives in front of me to the point where I've stopped looking at my own so much, my own problems. I'm watching God work in other people's lives. I'm thankful that I have my children back today. I'm thankful that God is extremely patient with me. I'm thankful for the opportunities that I've been given. Most importantly, man, I'm thankful to help the next person. That I still have a story to tell, you know? And I'm grateful that, and I'm thankful that I still get another day to try to get that right.